Hey guys, this is Justin with Palmetto State Armory, and today we're going to be talking about changing out the guide rod and spring on your handgun. This is something you might do if you're looking to run a compensator or a suppressor on your pistol, or if you're just looking to tune it a little better. And this is going to apply to most handguns out there. The other note we want to make on this is a quick disclaimer. If this is your EDC gun, guys, please do not go and start messing with the different springs. They're set that way from the factory to run as reliably as they can. This is more for that gun you use at the range, or you want to shoot a little softer in competition, anything like that. But if it's your carry gun, we highly recommend that you don't go modifying it or anything like that. So with that being said, let's talk about how to change your guide rod spring out on your dagger specifically. First thing you want to do, you want to start with an empty gun. So we'll check that it's clear, and then we'll remove the slide from the frame. So now that we've got it off the frame, we can set the frame off to the side, and we'll just take the slide here, and we're going to remove the factory guide rod and spring. General rule of thumb, the dagger is an 18-pound spring, so you're going to be working down from there. So the important thing to remember is as you add a compensator or add a suppressor, you're adding weight, and therefore you need to reduce the weight of the spring and therefore increase the slide velocity. That's going to help it overcome that additional weight. So you're looking to decrease that spring weight, and that's going to help you get through those cycling issues. Everything here is going to be kind of subjective based on your pistol or your grip. We won't be able to give specific recommendations, but we'll be able to show you how to bounce between the different springs to figure out which one's going to work best for you with your suppressor or your compensator and your conditions and ammo. That being said, we're going to set that 18-pound factory spring to the side, and then we're going to pull out one of our springs that we've ordered. You can find these all over the place, guys. They have multiple different options. The Dagger's compatible with Gen 3 springs, so keep that in mind. What I have here is a 14-pound. We've also got a 15-pound, a 16-pound, and a 17-pound. So what I would personally do is buy the kit, and then you can take it to the range, run it with your different ammo types, your different suppressors, whatever you're testing with, figure out which one works best, and then you'll know how to go from there. So we're just gonna show you how to install the 14-pound spring. It's gonna be the same for every spring though today, so let me get that out of the package and we'll show you how. Now that I've got the parts out of the package, you can see that it comes with a new guide rod. This is a stainless steel guide rod, and then it comes with a new spring as well. So the spring is pretty much the same here on both sides. One side is a little smaller, so you'll have to see on your specific kit. But in our case, it says that the smaller side of the spring goes on the beveled side of the guide rod. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. And you can see the difference in this and our factory spring is completely retained, whereas the new reduced power spring is not completely retained, so it's open-ended here. That's pretty normal on these reduced power springs. So all you have to do to install it is take it on your slide, just like you would with the captured. Stick the end of the spring in there. You'll see it extends quite a bit past the locking block where it normally engages, and then you'll just push it fully forward. You do have to be a little careful with these because they can shoot back at you. But once you get it lined up, you can push it in just like your standard OEM spring, and it'll click into place just like that. And that's all you have to do to install the reduced power guide rod spring. So now all I have to do is reinstall my slide to my frame, and then I can go to the range, or what I'll do is I'll even do this at the range so I can test it on the spot. But you'll install that, and then you can test and see with the ammo you're using. Maybe you're using 124 grain or something with this specific suppressor, and make sure that that cycles reliably. And that's all you have to do to start tuning your pistols with different guide rod springs. So it is a pretty simple process, but it is required a lot of the time with different suppressors, and that's just because as handgun manufacturers, you can't tune your pistol to run with every single suppressor, every single ammo type, etc. There is some variation in there, and sometimes you'll have to start changing out the guide rod spring. Luckily, it's a very simple thing to change and a very easy fix to make.
All right, guys, so now we're at the range. We talked about it in the shop, but now we want to show it to you on the range. So starting off, we have a Harrington Arms compensator here, and we have a factory 18-pound spring, and we just want to show you guys with 124 grain ammo what to look for when you're starting to tune for a compensator. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start shooting and see what the results are with the factory spring. And again, just to remember, we're looking for a consistent ejection pattern, and then we're looking for a consistent lockback on the slide. So with that being said, let's put a couple rounds through it and see what our results are. Okay, so I only had 3 rounds in that mag, and the slide failed to lock back. And you can see here I'm empty. So what we're seeing here is that the spring is too heavy for the compensator because the compensator is reducing that recoil. It's doing its job, but the spring in there is not light enough to let the slide lock back fully. So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and try a lighter spring and see if we can get that consistent lock back that we're looking for. So let's go ahead, we have a 15-pound spring over there. We're gonna throw that in and see what kind of results we get. Now we're gonna see on the 15-pound spring if we can get consistent lock back on this. And just a consistent ejection pattern is what we'll be looking for as well. So we've got a couple rounds of 124s loaded up again. So you can see we got a lock back there. So, and I can tell that the brass is getting ejected out pretty quickly. It's getting out of the way nice and steadily. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our loaded mag, and what I like to do is I'll just keep swapping it out with an empty mag to make sure that it's gonna keep locking back instead of having to load one round at a time. So let's go ahead and test that. Okay, we're good there. And what I'll do as I do this is I'll try to have like a lighter grip, or sometimes I'll even shoot with one hand. Just any way I can think to try to mitigate how much pressure I'm applying here, because a good grip can hide a lot of issues. So you're not always gonna have a good grip if you're shooting in a competition or something. You might be leaning around a corner, anything like that. You may not always have a perfect grip on your pistol. So we just wanna check that as well. So I'll kind of limp wrist it. Or I might shoot with one hand. And you can see the pistol is moving big time, and I'm not controlling recoil super well, but it's still locking back, so that's a good sign. And then I'll just test this one as well. And it's good on that mag as well. We got a consistent lock back, and the ejection is really good. It's getting the rounds out of there, so looking good there. Our thing here is, again, we're looking for ejection, but really we're looking for a lock back as well. So as long as the rounds are getting out of the way quickly, we're good on ejection, and then a consistent lock back is the biggest thing. So again, try it with different grip types, maybe shoot with one hand. Be safe with everything you're doing, but you do want to check that it's going to lock back under multiple different conditions. On the ammo, this could change depending on your ammo and how tightly tuned you have it. So keep that in mind as well if you start switching different ammo types, that this could all change as well. So again, just another reason we don't recommend doing this on a carry pistol. So again, this one's got good ejection, the slide's locking back. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take 4 or 5 full mags, and we're gonna put a couple mags through it, make sure it's running consistently. We're not having any hiccups on ejection or locking back, and then we'll be able to call it good there. Again, don't do this on a carry gun. This is something you're putting a compensator on. Maybe you're shooting competitions with it, something that's more of a range gun than an everyday carry gun. If it's an everyday carry, we highly recommend that you leave everything stock, as that's the way the manufacturer intended it to run. So with that being said, guys, we're gonna go ahead and do the rest of our testing here, and then we'll get over to the suppressors, and we'll start showing you how to start looking for those hints of how to tune a suppressor as well, okay? All right, guys, so we've gone over the compensator and we've already tuned the weight for that. So now we're gonna start tuning the suppressor and showing you guys how that typically goes. But what we wanna talk about real quick is when you're running any pistol with a tilted barrel, whether it's a Dagger or any other brand that has a tilting barrel, and you're gonna suppress it, you need to keep in mind that in order for it to run properly, it needs to have a Nielsen device. So a Nielsen device, or it's really a piston with a spring, goes inside of your suppressor right here, and it helps to mitigate the weight out there. Unlike the rifle suppressors we've talked about in the past and changing out buffers and stuff to deal with the gas, the extra blowback from the pistol, you're not necessarily dealing with that here. You're dealing with the increased weight on the end. And it's very important that you have a Nielsen device installed before running it on a tilting barrel pistol, because that helps deal with the weight from the initial beginning. So anytime you're running with a tilted barrel, just keep in mind you must have a Nielsen device or that suppressor is not gonna run on your pistol. All right, with that being said, guys, let's get into testing. Okay, so we're coming fresh off of shooting with our compensator, and we still have that 15-pound guide rod spring in this pistol, and we wanted to suppress it right away and kind of show you guys what a too light of a spring will do to a suppressor. So we know right off the bat that this is not gonna work perfectly, so we just kind of wanted to show you guys on the drastic end of what too light of a spring is gonna do to a suppressor. So let's go ahead and show you guys that. So I've got some 147s here loaded up, so these are subsonic rounds, and we're gonna load them and then we'll show you what kind of happens. So you can see it functions fine. I've still got the trigger locked to the rear because I want to show you guys. You can see this, the slide is slightly out of battery here, and if you're shooting suppressed, this is typically a dead giveaway that the spring doesn't have enough force to pull the slide back into battery. So you can see when I release this, it's going to go back into battery. So you can see the slide just push forward. Now, most of the time this is going to function fine, but you know, you could outrun the slide theoretically if you're shooting fast. So we'll go ahead and we'll see if it locks back. So it does lock back, but you can see that slide being sluggish to go back forward until I release the trigger from being past the brake is going to be a dead giveaway that we've got too light a spring on here. So let's go ahead, we'll go over to the table and we'll swap springs out to go a heavier spring and see if it's going to cycle better. All right, so now we've tried the 15-pound spring and we saw that the slide was kind of struggling to get back into battery. So now we've changed it back to the factory 18-pound spring to see what results we get there. And we'll go ahead and test that now and share that with you. Still shooting 147s here. And let's give it a go. Okay, you can see the slide went fully back into battery while I had the trigger depressed. So that's a really good sign to begin with, that heavier spring's helping pull that slide back into battery. And let's try it again. Okay, so what I'm seeing here is I'm getting a consistent ejection. All my brass is in the same line on the ground, so that's a really good sign as well. But just being that we're testing things here, we have all the springs here, I'm gonna go ahead and go up to the next spring weight, which is 20 pounds, and we're gonna see what results we get there. And from there, we can go ahead and decide if we need to continue going further in the spring weights or go back down. So let's go ahead and try that now. Okay, so we just shot the 18-pound spring and we saw that it was pulling it back into battery and it had a pretty consistent ejection, but now we're gonna go up to 20 and just make sure that going heavier isn't gonna help us with anything else, like get a better consistent ejection pattern or something like that. And we're just gonna see how that works and then we'll go from there. So this is a 20-pound spring with 147 grain subs. Okay, so you see, unlike the 18-pound spring, it's kind of just dribbling the brass out. It's not really getting them out of the way. So my theory is we've gone a little too heavy here, but let's shoot the rest and kind of see how that goes. Yeah, so you can see it's pretty inconsistent. One will go maybe a foot and then the next one will just kind of go like 4 inches. That's not what you're looking for. So we're gonna go back down to the 18-pound spring and just confirm that again and run a couple mags through it and make sure that it is consistent and continues to stay how we want to see it, and then we'll be good with it from there. All right, so now that we've seen our 20-pound spring has a little bit of a sluggish ejection pattern, we're gonna go back to the 18-pound spring and we're just gonna run some more rounds to confirm that it's gonna work. So again, I'll put a couple mags through this and make sure that it's gonna run the same way with every time and gonna be very consistent for me. And let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so again, super consistent ejection pattern, and then we're locking back every time and we're not having any issues with that slide getting back into battery. So I'm liking the 18-pound spring. Again, I'm gonna run a couple more mags to confirm everything. I always like to do that before I make any decision on anything, and I suggest you guys do the same. That being said, we do have a mag of 115 here, and we just wanted to show you guys how this could change in an instant when you switch up your ammo type if you go from subs to supers. So we're going from 147s to 115s. So there's a lot more velocity here, and we're gonna see how that changes our ejection pattern and all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and see how that affects it. Again, these are 115s. So you can see there, that brass just launched over there. So I can tell already a much more violent ejection. So it may not be a bad idea to up the spring weight a little bit, but we're gonna see what the next couple rounds do. Again, you can see that brass is just slinging over there. So with a 115 or something, it might not be a bad idea to up the spring weight a little bit to slow that slide down, because it ripping brass out like that means it's running a little too fast. That being said, again, we can go play with that, but for this situation here, we just wanted to show you guys that when you change your ammo type, that all the factors we just adjusted are gonna change as well. So it's just something to keep in mind. Any ammo type or change that you make could also affect this. So just keep that in mind as you're shooting suppressed or whatever. Maybe keep the ammo type consistent if you can. But again, it runs with it. It's just a little more violent, and it's gonna cause a little bit of increased wear and tear on your pistol in the long term.
So that's how you change out the guide rod spring on your Dagger pistol to get it to run with your suppressor or compensator. Thanks for watching, guys. Please comment below if this video was helpful to you, and stay tuned to all of our social media for all of our product updates and all of our other news. Thanks for watching, guys.